And we learned that business too was really changing, going from a relatively stable world to increasing instability, increasing uncertainty. So again, we had vulnerabilities, but so did businesses. And our point was where could we meet on those shared vulnerabilities? So the business motivation in participating in a project which came to be called the Business Arts Forum, but at that early stage we'd no idea what it was called, was sensing strategic change via contemporary performance. All the artists we were bringing from around the world were leading cultural change in whatever society they came from. And so often those cultural changes can be more important in informing the future business context than other issues. They were also, we learned, interested into insight into innovation and creation management, which arts organisations are engaged in all the time, every single day. Personal and leadership development, i.e. coming out of their organisations where they have a position in a hierarchy and everybody goes, oh, yes, sir, yes, madam, you know. So actually coming out of your familiar environment is essential in the development of people to be able to respond and not become a yes man, you know, to actually hear unpleasant truths and so on. So that lack of job status was very, very important for the development of leaders in the business world. And also this concept of engagement on equal terms with people you would never otherwise meet was another dimension of understanding better your place in the world. So these were very different motivations, very, very, very different motivations from the commercial motivations. They were actually learning and personal development motivations. But what did the forum look like? And a guy called Charles Handy, who is a kind of business guru and has written loads of books about business, came up with the idea. He was helping us think about this program. And he said, let's just invite people to attend performances and then understand better how the artists put it together and what they had in mind. And that really became the basis for the Business Arts Forum. But at a practical level, we needed to make it into a product, as it were, that people could then pay for to take part in, because there was an income generation dimension of this plan. So the Lift Business Arts Forum in 1995, and it ran for 10 years, and then informed actually how Lift as a whole kind of interacted with audiences and so on. There was an introductory evening at the Financial Times, so a kind of high-status business venue, and unexpected, perhaps, for an arts organisation. And business people and the artists taking part were presented with the programme and chose which productions they wanted to go to. And then after the festival, we met up for a day to say, what did you see, what did you learn, and what would you do differently in your work as a result? And because the productions they're seeing are so different from their normal experience, they're looking for different signals of change. What do they notice? They're noticing it through their own experience, but they're also noticing it and expanding their understanding of what they've seen through the other people in their group. So it's like a kind of group seminar process. So what did people learn? I'll just leave you to read these. Actually, I can circulate these afterwards if you want these slides. So, but the kind of learning was just so different. And it really gave us a different picture of what we might be for in relation to business. And when I say business, we also actually came to understand that the public sector was exactly the same. So basically, anybody working in any large organisation was looking for these kinds of learnings if they were going to adapt to a changing external environment that was bigger than any single organisation. And actually, several bankers took part, and the guy who said all the financial regulations in the world are worth nothing if you don't understand the cultural context in which they're set, he was the guy that went in to clear up the mess after the crash of Barings Bank, we learnt coincidentally. So how did the money work? There were 40 participants in the forum, and that was a mix of artists, and actually in very soon, very young people were involved in the forum as well. And so the income was made up of participant fees and some public funds. And so after the costs were covered, we made approximately £30,000 to the main lift budget. But what was extraordinary about that money was that no outcomes were asked for. You know, it was free money, in a sense. We could invest it where we wanted. It wasn't to provide marketing outcomes or any of those other things. So it was a simple investment in the programme. So the benefits to LIFT and the arts and the city was that we engaged new champions and got into new networks through that. We developed new concepts, new language. We generated press coverage and pioneering reputation through this, which helped our public funding. And also it helped reposition the arts centrally in the strategy of the city, which was not really, I mean, it was beyond our wildest dreams. So although it was a relatively small experiment over a relatively short period of time, the impact has been extraordinary. And actually, it's in common with many organisational innovation. It starts as a bubble on the outside and then is integrated into the main thrust of the organisation. So no logos requested, no outcomes even requested. There was no contract saying we want our people to learn such and such. All we said was that we will do these number of sessions and you will go to 4 events and it will be facilitated by these people. So no grandstanding, no experts. There were people all participating on equal terms across age, gender, working perspective, all kinds of things. We did, however, discover that in bringing together strangers, the qualities of hospitality were very important. Natural daylight in the venues and good food, really, really important. It sounds so ordinary, but it's so important. And in contrast, absolutely in contrast to the commercial sponsorship model, the more controversial the production, the better the conversation. And that was just fantastic, because it meant that we were involving the whole festival in our communications with the business and public sector worlds, rather than just saying, sponsor this very popular production.